Hello and welcome to your live coaching and mentorship session. This is Becca Armstrong. If we are just meeting at this moment for the first time, I am so glad that we are connected. And it is a pure pleasure and joy to have you as a member of our Manifesting My Wealth membership. So let's jump in and get started. If this is your first time joining us for these live mentorship and coaching sessions, then let me give you some information that is going to help you receive the very most from today's session. First of all, we begin by focusing on any questions that our members sent in through the coaching and mentorship pre-session form. So if you've sent in your questions, we actually have two, then we're going to begin there. After we have focused on the submitted membership questions, then we're going to turn our awareness and our attention to anything that's been posted into the chat, anything that's been posted into the comments section. So if you have something that you'd like to focus on here together, then post it into the comment section or the chat box, depending on which platform you're on. And we will certainly come to that question, that topic, that area of focus. And you and I get to work together one-on-one in this dynamic group setting. So here we go. Let's begin. All right. So the first question is, I am launching, or actually it is a question. So I'm launching a new business. Is there anything I can do to accelerate its success? And by success, as a measurement, I mean revenue. My goal is to have $40,000 of revenue every month in new sales. Okay, thank you. All right. So, well, first of all, congratulations on launching your new business. This is fantastic. So yes. There is, and I'm just going to check to see because we are recording this. So sometimes our members, if you're a new member, sometimes our members come live. Sometimes they participate through the recording, which is posted in their membership portal. So let me just check in and see. And I know we have members that are still logging in and coming on. So we'll certainly make sure that I just want to check in. Okay, so I don't see that you're here, but I'm also still learning this platform. So if that's not the case, post anything in response into the comment or chat box section. Okay, so since you may or may not be here, we're going to work collectively. So I'm launching a new business. Is there anything I can do to accumulate or accelerate rather its success? And you actually named your measurement. And I love that you said by success, I mean, okay. So the goal is to have $40,000 of revenue every month in new sales. Okay. So I want you to think about your new business as a person, And in thinking about your business has a self-identity. And your self-identity governs your thoughts, your emotions and feelings, your perceptions, ideas, what you're aware of or what you filter out. Your identity also governs and derives your choices, your decisions, your intentions, your possibilities and plausibilities in your personal perception, as well as behaviors, actions, and patterns. Okay. So this is the same for a business. A business has an identity. And what I just described that goes into our identity, that is the way in which our business identifies itself with the world around it and perceives that the world around it is engaging your business. So it goes both ways. It's your business perceives and the world perceives your business through the identity lens. So in this moment, ask yourself, okay, if I have $40,000 of revenue every month, if I have it, it happens every month. I look at our analytics and I see 40,000 something in there. It might be 42,000. It might be 40,000. It might be 43,000. It might be 40,075 cents. Okay. And that is something I'm mentioning because you want to hold loosely to the exact number. It's the number that generates the feeling and is the foundation. Because here's the thing, we've got universal laws and principles, and I'll go through those. I think it'd be actually helpful. But when we lock into a number, okay, let's say 40,000, and you've just launched. So now let's say you're at $1,000 of revenue generated. That brings up the law of polarity that says, okay, 10, and the way that we do the law of polarity in our conditioning is not as it actually is. We do this. We create distance and separation, which means we create time that has to affect the outcome. So it's like, here's the 40,000. I'm at 1,000. So I am here. My 40,000 is here. I'm not there. 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 And I'm not there is an attraction point. So when you set up a duality using the law of polarity that says 40,000 is where I'm successful and $1,000 is where I'm not successful, we think this will get us to go here. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. It holds us here. So if we shift this to the way you're actually designed, where everything is now, 1,000 and 40,000 are in alignment with your business. 1,000 is a lower amplitude than 40,000. 1,000, though, is the same frequency as 40,000. It's a different amplification, so it's a different expression and experience. Let's give you an analogy, make it simple. You have water. If you take that water and you freeze it, it becomes more dense. If you take that water and you add energy to it and you drive it up, it starts to boil. If you drive it up further, it turns into steam. Drive it up further, you can't physically see it, but it's still water. Okay, it's still water. So when you launch your business, you say, okay, this is my business, the entirety of it. And when I'm starting, 40,000 and 1,000 are equally exciting. Equally exciting. I heard a comment, it was an interview with Paulo Coelho. And he was having, I think, lunch with a colleague of his. And he opens up his phone and he sees, he had posted something on social media. And he had 7 likes. Now, if you've ever read the book, The Alchemist, he authored it. So pretty well-known author here. And he opens up his Instagram. He's like, oh, I have 7 likes. I have 7 likes. I have 7 likes. Well, a lot of people would say, I have 7 likes. I want, 700,000. So they'd say, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there. Well, that holds you to I'm not there because that becomes your frequency. It becomes the amplitude that you're allowing. So when we set up polarity and we say nothing is there until I'm at 40,000, you will not hit 40,000. And if you do, it won't be consistent. Why? Because where your focus goes is where you're directing your energy. It's where you're directing amplification, and it becomes your experience. So what do you do with it? Okay, well, let me give you the universal laws and principles. Let me just give them to you, because if you go to the moon, gravity is different on the moon than it is on Earth. These are governing principles that are the seed principles of life. So one, you have the law of vibration. Okay, law of vibration. That's saying that everything vibrates. Everything has an energetic signature, a frequency. And your business has a frequency, and then it has a scale of amplitude and amplification. Because you're not going to say, water that has moved into the ether that you can't see with your eyes is the same as an ice cube. It is not the same expression, but it is the same frequency. Okay. It's the same thing. It's still water. It's just expressing differently because of its energy signature, its energy amplitude. Okay. So then you have the law of magnetic resonance. Okay. Law of magnetic resonance. Law of magnetic resonance says, okay, everything that vibrates has an amplitude. And the amplitude that it's vibrating at is resonated out. And everything at that similar amplitude is reflected back. And it's in resonance, it's in communication. So again, a very well-known, utilized analogy is if we're in a room of tuning forks, the tuning forks are going to not all respond. So if you take a tuning fork in the key of G, you strike it, and you knock it on the floor, then every other G tuning fork is going to start to vibrate in resonance because they're on the same amplitude, same key, because they're all tuning forks. They're just tuned to different amplitudes. So that those are all in communication now, and now they're in resonance and they're magnetizing, they're amplifying their resonance. Okay, so you have that one. Next one is the law of gender. And the law of gender brings together masculine and feminine energy, not male and female. It's masculine and feminine. So law of gender says everything has a gestation period from origination to expression. So, and origination requires expression, and expression requires origination. They can't happen without each other. So masculine and feminine energy. Feminine energy is the seed. It's the creation. It's the inspiration. It's the idea that birthed your business. Masculine is the structure that moves the idea into expression, utilization, engagement, the ability to see it. So creation precedes form, and form is expressed through the masculine energy. So again, another analogy, a water or a river. You've got the banks of the river, that's masculine. You have the water, which is feminine. So if you don't have the masculine banks, the water floods out and has an inability to move and express. If you have the masculine, you have the banks of the river, but you don't have any water, then the purpose of the banks of the river are not being fulfilled. So law of gender brings masculine, feminine into harmony and says, okay, so the water then needs the banks, and the banks are the expression and the movement of it. But to move, you have to have that continuous flow. So creation precedes form. So you have your idea. Now you want to keep that creation energy being attended to, which is inspiration and excitement. And you want to take the governing, aligned, inspired actions to move it forward. Okay, so to keep going, we also have there's 3 different versions of this: the law of correspondence, the law of assumption, and the law of reflection. Those are different names for this same thing. And so law of correspondence, as within, so without. Law of reflection, as within, reflected from out. Law of assumption. If you want to see what your assumption is, what your code is, then what is being reflected back to you is your code. It may not be a conscious assumption, but I have worked with business owners that say, I have to do all things and I have to do them all at the same time and I have to do them perfectly, or my business will not succeed. Guess what? Their business doesn't succeed because they didn't need to do all things. They needed to do one thing and at the most two things until those things have been mobilized forward to a place where the next one or two things becomes very apparent. So the law of correspondence, my business won't succeed, becomes reflected. And as within, so is outside of you. Law of reflection, law of assumption. Okay, so that's really important to dial into. What is your assumption, and what are the choices, the decisions, and the codes that produce that assumption that you are choosing to be reflected to you, and that you are choosing to resonate inward and outwardly. So the other one is consciousness. Consciousness precedes form. So you can either have condition or you can have authentic consciousness. So this is where, people will say everything begins with the mind. The mind ultimately can be better described as the point of origination, the point of consciousness. What is the central point in your life? You. So it actually starts with either conditioning that's running the show automatically behind the scenes, or it starts off with an intention that leads to a choice, that leads to a decision, that leads to focus, and focus becomes reflection. So if something just is going on in your life, I would encourage you not to say, well, why is this going on? What caused this? How did I get here? All of those things, because that's just ignited the law of polarity that says, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. Then from there, it's like, okay, this just is. This is just an isness. Now, what do I choose to do with it? Oh, well, what's my intention? What is my focus? What is my choice? What is my decision? Oh, it's here. Oh, okay. Then I'm actually moving along the path. Okay, so what do I have access to that I prefer? Okay, what do I have access to that I prefer? What do I have access to? Or what do I need that I prefer? What do I need that I prefer? What do I need that I prefer? Okay, so consciousness in business is really important. And most of the business coaching clients that I work with are waiting for the market to define their conscious point of origination. They're waiting for someone else to give them permission. They're waiting for. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think I covered all of them. So with that, let's go back to your business that you have launched or are launching. I'm not entirely clear. You said I'm launching, so it sounds like it's in motion. So with its success, start with the end in mind, and you said 40,000. And I want you right now to imagine that $40,000 business is a person, and what happens for this person just is. And what happens for this person is revenue that amplifies to a measurement of $40,000. So 1 penny is part of that. $5 is part of that. $500 is part of that. $5,000 is part of that. Onward and onward and onward and onward. All aligned. And I want you to say, okay, what is so exciting about 1 cent? And if you're in another part of the world, because we have several members that are, use your denomination. But just one of the 1 cent. What's exciting about that? What's inspiring about that? That's an increase. There's another law of perpetual increase. Glad I just remembered that. Disintegration is not natural. The only natural disintegration is alchemical transformation. So what does that mean? Well, when the dragonfly becomes the snot and transitions in alchemical, becomes the dragonfly, the nymph is not the dragonfly. The nymph is the nymph, the dragonfly is the dragonfly, and there is a disintegrative moment where the entire structure of the nymph comes undone, and that's because the dragonfly cannot be the dragonfly while it's still holding to the structure and condition of the nymph. Same thing with the caterpillar that becomes the butterfly. The butterfly cannot be the butterfly while still in the structure of the caterpillar. That structure has to come apart. That's not to hurt. That's not causing harm to the caterpillar. That is the freedom of the alchemical transformation, where the caterpillar cannot fly, but the butterfly can't help but fly. The dragonfly can't help but do what dragonflies do. And I love it because I have dragonflies and butterflies galore in my backyard. And if you do too, post that in the comments. Okay, so with your business, what is so exciting about 1 cent? What excites you about that? It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. And think about who is influenced by that 1 cent. Because if somebody gave you and you received 1 cent, that's the reflection of energy. And you're now richer than you were. And that excitement is the same frequency as the 40,000. So it isn't happening, it happened. And it's exciting. And there's energy there. Now, what you're doing is you are encoding the self-identity of your business. We are a business of revenue generation. We generate revenue. We receive revenue. We create resources that are what people are needing and they're asking for. And they are looking for those resources, and they find us because we're looking for them to provide the resource. And what we're looking for, we find. They find us, we find them, we come together, we have something they need. They are happy to receive it. We're happy to receive the money, the revenue. This is such a win-win. This is amazing. And we listen, we hear, we see what they need. And we provide it, and they reflect the gratitude in their payment. Okay? So all of a sudden, it becomes very challenging to imagine receiving 1 cent, and it feels better, or it just feels aligned to imagine $5,000. And so you imagine, we have $5,000. We have $5,000. We're a business of revenue, and the revenue is flowing to us, flowing into us. It's happened. It's not happening. We have the 5,000 because we are a business of receiving and giving. We are a generous business where energy is just flowing in, and we're excited about the services we're providing or the products that we're providing. We're excited about our clients. We're listening to our clients. We're hearing the requests and what they need. We are inspired to offer that to them. And all of a sudden, the $5,000 becomes $15,000. And as you imagine having $15,000 and you look at the revenue stream for that particular month and you look at the $15,000, you're in vibrational harmony, alignment. You've amplified from 1 cent up to 15,000. You're inspired in the giving and receiving is definitely a part of that. So you're not engaged in polarity, you're engaged in flow. And you're in the excitement of imagining seeing the client or the customer saying, I love your product. I love your service. I love working with you. This is so beautifully impactful and such a great influence on my life or my whatever it is that the product or service is for. And it's thank you, thank you, thank you. And you say, oh, we love being in relationship with you. We love knowing the products or the services that fulfill your need. And we're inspired that your need is fulfilled. And we are so grateful for this beautiful flow of relationship where you get to express what you need and we get to create the fulfillment of that need and up, 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 up. Now it's 30,000. And you look and you say, oh my gosh, we've received and generated and have $30,000 of revenue. This is so wonderful. And again, you're not saying, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, because you're feeling the excitement and the thrill and the yumminess of the 30,000 as much as it was the 1 cent. And you say, it's happened. I have 1 cent. It's happened. I have $5. It's happened. I have $5,000. It's happened. I have 30,000. It's happened. It's happened. It's happened. It's happened. It's happened. It's happened. And so it's happened. And now you're inspired and you say, oh, I have an idea. I heard one of our customers say that they need XYZ. It is an expansion of the products or services that we already provide. And I'm going to reach out to them and say, you know what? I know how to create that for you. I know how to build that for you. And if I do, would you want to buy it? And they say, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, can I just give it to you now? As a matter of fact, can I give you a deposit? As a matter, yes, 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 yes. And then you okay. And comes together. You've already received the 40,000 or they give you that. And now we're a business. And what is reflected to us is the having of 1 cent, the having of 5,000, the having of 15,000, the having of 30,000, the having of 40,000, and the energy that is moving the entire time. And so notice in no moment did I say, ooh, our business is doing good, or our business is doing bad, our business is thriving, our business is struggling, our business is growing slowly. It's good, it's bad, it's right and wrong, it's positive, it's not. I didn't label it with any of those things because that turns this structure to this. And it's I'm not there, 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 I'm not there. So here's the thing. Have you ever wondered why people can work really, really hard and they don't move the needle? Well, they work really hard and don't move the needle because they're not there, they're not there, they're not there, they're not there. Recognizing that, okay, I'm here and I'm inspired to be here. And I'm here and I'm inspired to be here. And I'm here and I'm inspired to be here. And here I'm inspired to be here. And the entire time they're in their present moment, but they're focused on their new choice. Because it's the desire that is the energetic asking. It's the energetic asking. And so before you have awareness of your desire, you've already asked. And here's the funny thing. The law of polarity says, I am not here, I am here. And so in the same moment, you're in both locations. I know that's really hard sometimes to imagine, but the law of polarity says that both of these superpositions actually simultaneously exist. That's physics. That's superposition, that's non-locality, that is what is the other version of that? I will think of it if it's important. So the I'm not here and the I am here simultaneously exist. And when you're focused here, you cannot be here. And when you focus so high, when you focus like, okay, I'm at 1 cent. and I'm focused on the 40,000, that is avoidance of the 1 cent. You guys see that? When you're focused here, avoidance of the 1 cent. It's like rejecting the 1 cent, which actually puts your attention on the 1 cent and holds you to this amplitude. So if you go, ooh, now I'm inspired by $5. Ooh, now I'm inspired by 5,000. Ooh, and then as I have the 5,000, I have the 5,000. And sometimes when you get really close to the 5,000, you get really close to the $5, or you get close, it's like now you have access to the next inspiration. You can in resonance, you can actually connect with that amplified frequency. Ooh, I'm inspired by 15,000 now. I'm inspired by 30,000. I'm inspired by 40,000. And so you're in gratitude, celebration, appreciation. You're just in the feel good of where you are. Like, yeah, 1 cent. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Awesome, 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 awesome. And now I know what I'm also inspirited. That's inspiration. I'm inspired by $5. And $5 is in resonant relationship with the 1 cent. So you can get into the feeling of the $5. And maybe you can't get into the feeling and you're not inspired by 5,000. Maybe 5,000 feels scary, it feels overwhelmed. And when something says, "Oh, I'm afraid of that," what you're actually saying is, "I'm not that. I'm not that." And so it's trying to be something you can't even relate to. And so it's foreign. It's darkness. And so how do you keep yourself from going there? Be afraid of it. Be afraid of it. So when you say, "Oh, okay, well, I'm not going to, I don't know, 5,000 just seems like what?" But 500, that feels fun. That feels good. Oh, I can connect in the feeling of 500. I can connect in the feeling of 1,500. I can connect in the feeling of 3,000. And it's like, and I'm there. Because what we also do is our ego gets involved and says, if I cannot connect with 30,000, then I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there. And it says, okay, shoot, I'm not there. We need to put them into survival mode because they're trying to be here. They're not there. This is threatening to them. This is dangerous. It's not that it's not safe. It's a threat at a perceived level to the current self-identity. So with your business, allow your identity to amplify as you run energy through it. And the energy that you run through it develops your self-identity of your business. It will also develop you because you're in resonance, okay, with your business. So you're on the same channel as your business and you're amplifying with your business, okay? So how do you get to 40,000? Celebrating the 1 cent. Celebrating, I was talking to an entrepreneur that I'm mentoring yesterday. And we were talking about, when you're providing something to someone who is a brand new relationship, you don't, have much experience of them. They don't have much of experience of you, which is what it is that we call relationship that develops. The more we have experience, the more we have awareness. So this person says, "Oh, they're going to give me something, and the payment is my email address." That's an intimate piece of information to connect with. So when somebody pays you with their name or their email, that's significant. That's resonance. So when you have their name and and their contact email, and you have their permission to communicate with them, you're developing the relationship, which means you're running energy through the relationship, which means you're amplifying the relationship. Money is simply energy, and the amount of energy is the amplitude of its expression. That's what it is. And so people say, when I have the money, then I will have the value. When I have the money, I'll have the feel good. When I have the money, I'll have the peace. And it's actually opposite to that. It's meet yourself where you are and get a hold of what amplifies you. Meet your business where it is, get a hold of what amplifies it, that you can relate to. And then as you experience that, what you can relate to will amplify, and what you can relate to will amplify, and what you can relate to will amplify, and what you can relate to will amplify. So this is never about avoidance, because avoidance is I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. And then it is the manifestation, creation of I'm not there. So we're not going to be in avoidance, but we do need to go into faith. And I'm talking delusional faith. Delusional faith. And you guys may have heard the phrase that what we fear, well, fear and faith are actually very, very similar to each other, because they both require, it's not that they ask, they require that you feel something you cannot yet see. And the feeling is the assumption. And so you've projected yourself into the outcome that you are assuming to be true, and you're feeling that. And it is either the experience of fear or it's the experience of faith. It is the experience of survival, or it is the experience of fulfillment, having. So when you're going to place your attention, you want to know where you're at, but place your intention on your inspiration and allow the feeling of the inspiration to amplify to a place where it's running the show, because it's actually adjusting your endocrine system, your nervous system, your biorhythms, your blah, 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 all that stuff. And I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and they said, well, I need to pay off my debts. I said, oh, okay. I need to pay off my debts. Okay. So and they were all focused on, I need money to pay off my debts. So the whole motivation for money was paying off their debts. And I said, okay, what's a number that feels good to you? Let's just pick a number that feels good to you. He said 250,000. Okay. Now, if you currently had $250,000, what do you do with it? They say, oh, I have 250,000. Yeah. They said, I want to take a vacation. I'm like, okay, where are you going to go? And they said, I don't know, Bali or something. Like, okay, so you go to Bali. Now what else? And they said, well, pay off my debts. I said, and where's your attention having 250,000? Because you mentioned going to Bali first. And they said, oh yeah, because I know I'm paying off my debts. So it's not, I can't go to Bali because they said, because they can go to Bali and they can pay off their debts. I said, oh, isn't that interesting? That when you focus on having $250,000, the first thing that you're inspired by is fun. And then fun also is connected to paying off your debts. So when you're focused on, I need to have money so I pay off my debts, you're in fear. And your debt is the generation of, is what the energy is generating. When you focus on having 250,000, the 250,000 is producing and generating your fun. And what is a part of that is also debts being zero. They're like, well, but that's delusional. And I said, it's all delusional, because you're making all of it up right now. Every single thing. You're making it all up. One causes you pain. The other one causes you fun. Life is not a disintegrative model. Life is an expansion model. If you look at the physics of our universe, it's expansion, not disintegration. And people say, yeah, but there are things that dissolve. There are things that alchemically transform. But energy does not go to nothing. It transforms into something, just like the dragonfly is not the nymph and the butterfly is not the caterpillar, but the water still exists. Okay, it just exists now as the butterfly, now as the dragonfly. So this is not only business. Everything that I'm sharing, it applies to love, it applies to health, it applies to professional success and recognition. It applies to everything. So let me know in the comments. I'm just going to check in and see. All right. Seeing if we have any posts in here, any questions, which we don't yet. Okay, so one last thing. How do you create the code of your self-identity business? Delusional faith. Delusional faith that is inspired in your present moment. Ask, and it is always delivered immediately, which is before you even know to ask. Your desire is evidence that the asking has already been complete and the fulfillment has already been completed. Otherwise, you couldn't even have conscious awareness to ask or desire it. So if it already exists, it's just like I'm here in Colorado, but California exists. I cannot see San Diego right now, but San Diego exists. So if I'm imagining being in San Diego, guess what? I have to be delusional about my imagination. But you say, but San Diego exists. Well, how do you know that? How do you know that? You're not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. But we have faith that it exists. Maybe all the pictures that we've seen are just totally made up, fabricated. Who knows? So San Diego exists. So imagining what do I choose to do in San Diego? Oh, I'm gonna go to the beach. I'm gonna go to the marina. I'm gonna go to this really great Mexican restaurant that's down there. I used to live outside of San Diego, so I do know that it exists. But right now, I'm not there, so I'm using my imagination. And you know how powerful our imagination is? Our imagination is so powerful that it'll get me to buy a plane ticket or get in my car and head towards this thing called San Diego and to keep going until I arrive, even though I cannot see it until I'm in it. Can't see it till I'm in it. That's faith. That's faith. That's who you are. It's how you're designed. So what do? Every morning before you get out of bed, every evening before you go to sleep, these are very powerful alignment moments. It's kind of before your yesterday personality gets a hold of you. In those moments, imagine, okay, I'm not in San Diego, but I'm in Grand Junction, because I have learned Grand Junction is on the map to San Diego. So I found on a map San Diego. I found the road that seems to lead that direction, and it's called Grand Junction. So I'm going to imagine having a nice lunch, putting gas in my car, being so happy that I'm in this place called Grand Junction, and then I'm going to drive on, and I'm going to drive to Mesquite, because that's the next place on the map. And then I'm going to drive to St. George, because that's the next place on the map. And then I'm going to, and it's like, okay. And everywhere I am inspired as to where I choose to go. And everywhere I go from that moment is always going to San Diego and being focused. Here's where I'm at. And here's the next place that I'm inspired because, ooh, that's 200 miles. That's cool. And I'm inspired to put gas in my car at that next destination. And so every morning before you get out of bed, every morning before, or every evening before you go off to sleep. And I know I've had clients and we've got members that say, yeah, but I fall asleep on my phone, or I fall asleep watching TV. I will tell you, you are falling asleep with whatever it is that you're consuming, creating your amplification and selecting your frequency. So if you need to relax and watch something to go to sleep, I suggest you do that first. And then right before you're drifting off and you're super sleepy and you turn off your TV, or if you don't turn off your TV, two things. One, set a timer so it self turns off. Two, actually, two, you'll need a sleep hypnosis tape. Because if you're falling asleep with TV playing, an alternative is a sleep self-hypnosis tape, audio, which I create. And honestly, because I've had people that say, yeah, but I sleep with the TV on all night. Then an alternative to that is you can have the TV on, have it muted, and have a sleep self-hypnosis audio playing. And if you guys as members have a particular area of focus that matters most to you, that you would like a sleep hypnosis tape created, then please post into the comments, let me know what that is. Because again, Manifesting My Wealth membership is all about what you guys are expressing serves you best and what you need. So I'm not going to make up what that is. You tell me what that is, because that is what matters most. So before you go to sleep, and it's like living it, it's being it, it's breathing it, it's getting juiced. And then again, I'm saying if you lose track and you it's like you're focused on living and breathing and being the version of you that's living your desired outcome, and then all of a sudden you get distracted by fear, and you get distracted by stress, and you get distracted by worries, then you're going to want an audio that directs your attention space. And that's beautiful because that's available. So, all right. So I'm just going to check in. Let me know any other questions that people have. All right. Okay, so we are going to wrap up. Thank you so very much for your questions, for your posts, for your comments, for your just participation. And ultimately, the best thing for us is thank you for being a part of our membership, being a part of our community, and having the opportunity to serve you, because who you are is actually most authentically identified in your desires, not your history, your desires. Your desires are showing you who you are ready to become, and also what you have already manifested, even if you can't see it. So with faith and fear, focusing on, they're both delusional. They're both asking you to believe in and feel something you cannot yet see. And feeling is the indication of the frequency. So if you're going to imagine anything and you're going to put your attention on anything and you're going to call yourself delusional, be delusionally faithful and consistently focused until it is. All right. So we'll pause there. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. You guys take very, very good care. Bye for now.